Hello everybody, my name is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap up. So this is a very late wrap up. It is mid-September. I've just been so busy and I have broken my arm, if you can't tell. So I really have been going back and forth to appointments and it's really tough to film with the broken arm. So I'm finally doing this wrap up and it's going to be a little bit different than what we normally do on my wrap up. Instead of holding up the book, I'm just going to post a picture of the title cover right here and then I'm going to put my star rating as well. So let's get right on into it. So the first book I read throughout August was The Empire of Dreams by Ray Carson. When I started this book, I did not realize it was actually the fourth book in a series, and I actually read it as the first one, I guess. Actually, it did not hinder the story much for me. So this book is about a girl who has a past unlike any other. She ran from her home because she is thought to have magical powers. She is stolen and kidnapped as a slave. She is forced to work for a lot of really mean people until finally the king and queen find her. She is adopted into the king and queen's family, and when she is about ready to be formally adopted, the country kind of decides, well, we really don't want her on the throne because she is a bastard child. They really fight against that, and she decides that she really wants to be part of this family and she really wants to show this country that she is capable of being inside the royal family. She decides to join the Royal Guard, and the Royal Guard is really similar to our Marine Corps in a way that they are very hardcore, very tough, and need to go through a lot of training to be able to get where they are. Overall, I think this book was amazing. I had a wonderful storyline. I really liked seeing our main character, Red. She was so fierce, really fought for what she stood for, and I really enjoyed that in a story. Now, I finished this book in one day and I truly enjoyed it. It was so good, so good. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm really picky on the books I rate 5 stars. If I did rate a book 4 stars, I really did enjoy it. It just did not hit the 5-star mark for me, but I did enjoy the story. I loved the storyline and I loved our characters. The second book I read this month was The Program by Suzanne Young. This book was fantastic. This book is about a girl named, what's her name? This book is about a girl named Salone, and she lives in a world where suicide has become a national epidemic, almost a worldwide epidemic. So every 1 in 3 teenagers are committing suicide. The government decides to put in extra measures to make sure children cannot commit suicide. Like, for example, they have admitted handlers into schools, so if a child shows any sign of sadness or depression, they are automatically put inside of this program. So one issue I find with that, emotions are a huge part in the human experience. If you can't have those emotions, you're bound to have some kind of breakdown. That's all I'm saying. So Salone is kind of just living her life, trying to make sure she does not get picked out by the handlers. She is such a big target because her brother committed suicide and her best friend just got took into the program. So really, we are just following Salone's story through the struggle. About midway through, she does end up going through the program, and we kind of see what the inside of the program is about, why kids are so fearful of this program. Honestly, I would be kind of terrified for the program as well. I just couldn't imagine people taking away my memories, good and bad, because I really think that's what makes you who you are. That freaks me out a lot. Overall, I did enjoy this book. I loved watching our characters develop. I loved living in this world where suicide is such an issue, because it is an issue now, but the book kind of explodes that times a million. We are learning about all these new characters, all these new issues we're running across, and how we can't stop an epidemic by just erasing people's memories, because the personality does persist, and ultimately personality really decides what you do with your life. Something I really didn't like about this book was the fact that the plot had so much potential, especially with the storyline that we wanted to go to. It just didn't hit it for me. I felt like there was a lot of extra things thrown in there to just kind of make the story more interesting. I really don't think that was necessary for this book. I think we could have just got down for the down and dirty and we would have been fine. So overall, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Like I said, the plot was just really messy at times, but overall, I really did enjoy my character development. I really enjoyed how they touched upon the parents' view and the kids' view of this epidemic and how terrified they are to A, lose their children, and B, lose their memory. So I really did enjoy this book. The third book I read this month was The Voting Booth by Randy Colbert. So this book follows two African American kids, and they are so excited for their first year to vote, and I really enjoy how they touch upon how the African American community does not get out and vote enough. I really enjoyed how they pushed that. But they are so excited for their first year to vote. So our first main character, I believe her name's Marsha. I feel like I'm wrong. Marva Duke. So our first main character, Marva, she is a very smart woman. She is so excited to go to college, get her graduate degree. She is so excited to finish high school. She is so smart, honorable. She is so excited to be able to vote for the first time this year. So she goes extra early in the morning, gets her voted, so excited. Then she meets Duke. Duke cannot vote at the place he has gone at, because if you've ever voted in the United States, you know that you do have to have registered to vote in that location. So if I was to vote in my county, I couldn't go to the next county over to vote. So Duke runs into this issue, so Marva takes it upon herself to help him get to the other side of town after his car breaks down to be able to vote. But while he's there, he realizes he does not have to vote there either. And really, this book just takes place in 24 hours trying to get Duke to be able to vote. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was so much fun. It really pointed out how important it is to vote, especially for young people. Get out there, put your vote in. Doesn't matter who you're voting for, get your word in. It's so important, and I really like how our author touched upon that. Something I really didn't like about this book was our main character Marva was so whiny at times, and she seemed incredibly bratty. Duke would make a comment about his struggle with dad or his struggle with his mom, and Marva would automatically make it about her. Marva was never really worried about Duke. She just thought about leaving him to do his own thing, and she needed to figure out what to do, and that was really frustrating at times. I really didn't enjoy that aspect of it, and Duke was just trying to live his best life and flirt with this girl, okay, and Marva was just not about it. So overall, I did end up giving this book only a 2 out of 5 stars. The main characters, if they are not good or they are bratty, naughty, or something that really bothers me, I'm gonna rate it low. Now, this does not mean the book was bad. I really did enjoy the book and all the aspects and information it really did give, and it was really important, but I really did not enjoy how bratty Marva was at times. The fourth book I read this month was The Sun and Her Flowers by, I really hope I'm saying this name correct, is Rupi Kaur. This book is a collection of poetry. Really, this book dives really deep into relationship, body image, self-love, and I really did enjoy this book. I think I highlighted every poem. I enjoyed this book thoroughly. I thought it was amazing. It really made me open my eyes and love myself a little bit more. I really did enjoy it. I will recommend this book to everybody. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. No complaints. I loved it. The fifth book I read this month was Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. Now, I'm sure if you've watched this video, you have watched my reading vlog where I talk about this. If you didn't, you can click right here and watch that video. So this book is about a girl who has been dating this guy since high school, and their relationship is starting to unwind. They are not getting along like they used to. They don't really talk anymore other than the sexual aspect of the relationship. So they decide to take a break. Well, the husband does not want to take a break, but the wife is very she thinks they need a break. They decide to do that, and the wife decides to go to couples therapy. She thinks couples therapy will really help them kind of understand the relationship a little bit better. They are going to couples therapy, and the husband starts to open up more, and they are starting to understand each other a lot better. Something I really enjoyed this book was how it touched upon how old relationships can be rekindled, and your relationship just doesn't have to die because you're turning into different people, which is bound to happen as you get older. Something I really hated about this book was how much we talked about the sexual aspect of the relationship. It felt like that was the only thing both parties were worried about and not the relationship, which kind of annoyed me at times. I really didn't like that part. I wanted it to be lovey-dovey, they really like each other part, but it wasn't, and that was sad. So I did end up only giving this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I really just wasn't enjoying it. It just wasn't a fun time for me. The next book I read was Dirty Like Me by Janine Diamond. This book is about a typical girl whose best friend is a modeling agent. She goes and visits her best friend in her office, find the most hunkiest guy in the room, and she's like, googly eyes for days, okay? So days pass and she gets a call from her best friend who is the modeling agent, and she says, hey, the hunk boy wants you for his music video. Of course she accepts, not realizing that she will be naked, just covered in body paint in the music video. So she goes and does that, and the really smoking hot guy ends up asking her to join her on tour to pretend to be his boyfriend, and y'all ends up joining him on tour to become his fake girlfriend. And y'all already know how those storylines always turn out not good. So they go together on tour and they fall in love, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Now, at times this book was very boring and it felt like it was written by a 5-year-old, but other times it was the ultimate romance. I really enjoyed it. It was super cheesy at moments that were kind of over the top, but other times it was cheesy in a way that made the good romance novel. Overall, I did only rate this book a 3 out of 5. Like I said, it wasn't really there for me. I really didn't enjoy some of the aspects, like the overly cheesy moments that just would not happen in real life, which I know is the point of romance, but I'm picky with my romance. The next books I read was the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comics, number 1 through 8 by Roberto Sacasa. I'm really hoping I'm saying that correctly. So if you have seen Sabrina the Teenage Witch or even the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, this comic are like a whole new ball game, okay? So Sabrina is set in the 90s and it still has all the normal aspects of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, like the Dark Coven and the Dark Lord and all those things that go along with witches, but there are a lot more gruesome things in the comic like cannibalism and zombies, and it's kind of out of its mind, but I really enjoyed them. They were definitely a great spooky Halloween read. I read them for Summerween and I absolutely enjoyed them. Totally recommend them. I gave every single one of these comics a 5 out of 5. I love the illustrations. I love the story. I have no complaints. I don't know what number this is, but the next book I read this month was The Treatment by Suzanne Young. This is the second book in the program, and here we are following Salone and James as they leave the program into a rehabilitation. Listen, I expected this book to end how it ended. I was salty about how it ended. I didn't find it interesting, and I probably won't be continuing with the next like 6 books. I think it's very dragged on. I think it kind of ridiculously dragged on to the point where I just don't think it'll ever end. So I was not a huge fan of both. There are like more books in the series, and I'm really curious on how they went on with the series, but at the same time, I don't think I'll act series because I think it's just too much. It was too much, too little time. I feel like we just tried to live this so we could leave the program. I think it was a little ridiculous. I gave this book a 2 out of 5. I will not be continuing with the series. The next book I read this month was The Perfect Roommate by Monica Kent. This book is about a girl who gets kicked out of her apartment and she decides to take up base in a girl's apartment that is super rich, has a lot of name brand clothes. She's just real rich and doesn't shop at the Goodwill like the rest of us. And she ends up becoming obsessed with her. She really wears clothes as her. She just wants to be her. And really, this book took a twist several times, because about a quarter of the way through the book I was like, oh, I already know what's gonna happen. About halfway through I was like, okay, well, that took a turn. 3/4 of the way I'm like, I know what's gonna happen. And then at the end of the book I was like, I didn't expect this at all. I really enjoyed this book. Definitely a grand psychological thriller. It definitely made me think. Really enjoyed it. It was definitely such a good book. I really have no words for it. It would make like the perfect Lifetime movie. Overall, I gave this book a 5 out of 5. My first 5 out of 5 this month. I really enjoyed this book. I had no complaints about it. It definitely kept me reading. I read it in a day. It was so good. The last book I read this month was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This book is about, as guys probably know from the Netflix movie, this book is about a whole new world, that there are creatures that live in the air that will kill you or make you commit suicide on sight. There are a lot of differences between the movie and the book with this. So I did not know that this book was set in Detroit. So I am from Michigan. Hey Michiganders. And something that really bothers me about this was in the movie, we are talking about a river that is like in the middle of the woods. It is very secluded. It is very ragged, rough. It's like the rushing river waters up north, and that you go kayaking and white river rafting. That did not come out right on. The rivers in Detroit are not like that. So that was like, girl, no. Even in the book they said it was a pretty calm journey. So that was really iffy for me. I was like, okay, well, someone was confused. But I did enjoy the story. I really like the aspect of there is something in the air that kills us or makes us want to kill ourselves. I think that is such an interesting storyline. I don't even have words for it. Can you imagine? Because I personally cannot imagine. So through the month of August I read 17 books, and I really do the math every month to see kind of what my percentage was. Why? So percentage was wise, my average percent rating was 74% of liked books. So that means my average rating was about a 3.5 to a 4 star. So I say that's a pretty good month. I really enjoyed all these books for the most part, minus the treatment. I will link all the books that I mentioned down below. I really hope you guys stayed till the end, and if you did, make sure you like this video, comment a book that you've read recently, or if you've read any of these books. I really would love to hear you comment. I really hope you hit that subscribe button down below. I upload every Tuesday and Thursday, and I have some exciting things coming for the holidays, especially Halloween and especially Christmas, because those are my favorite. You can't tell by the background. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye! There's a cop.